Stop! That harmless morning habit you just did? It's already killing your Mercedes. No warning light will tell you. No noise will warn you. Your car will start tomorrow and the day after, lying to you every single time because the damage doesn't announce itself. It waits. Careful owners, the ones who wash their car every weekend and never miss an oil change, are still making these mistakes right now without knowing it. 10 habits are quietly turning your Mercedes into a financial disaster. Number 1 will shock you because it looks exactly like good ownership. Let's get into it. Number 10, starting it and driving hard. Immediately your Mercedes has been sitting overnight. You start the engine, pull away, see an empty road, and immediately press the accelerator hard. Nothing sounds wrong. No warning appears. The engine happily gives you the power you asked for. That does not mean it likes what you just did. When an engine is cold, its oil is cold too. It needs a little time to circulate properly through the places that depend on lubrication. Metal components also change slightly as they warm. The engine is designed to work best once everything begins reaching normal operating temperature. Modern Mercedes engines do not need you sitting in the driveway for 20 minutes. That is not the point. Start the car, give it a brief moment to settle, then drive gently while everything warms naturally. Avoid demanding maximum power or high engine speed immediately. This becomes especially important with turbocharged Mercedes engines. A turbocharger can spin incredibly fast, and it depends heavily on proper lubrication. Asking for maximum boost while everything is still cold adds stress at exactly the wrong moment. Think of it like waking someone from a deep sleep and immediately demanding a full sprint. They might do it, but that does not make it smart. One aggressive cold start probably will not destroy your engine tomorrow. Repetition is the problem. Do it every morning for years, and those moments become thousands of unnecessary cold engine stress events. That is what makes ownership habits dangerous. The damage is rarely dramatic enough to frighten you immediately. It builds quietly. The engine starts tomorrow, so you assume yesterday did no harm. Then it starts the day after that, and the habit feels even safer. Meanwhile, every cold start is another moment when mechanical sympathy costs you nothing but patience. A warm engine is happier being pushed than one that has barely started circulating its fluids. Yet warming your Mercedes properly means very little if what is circulating inside that engine has already been pushed too far. The next habit can turn one of the cheapest forms of engine protection into one of the most expensive mistakes you make. Number 9. Stretching oil changes too far. The dashboard says you still have time. The engine sounds fine. You are busy. The service can wait. That thinking can become brutally expensive. Mercedes uses scheduled maintenance systems designed around particular vehicles and operating conditions. Depending on the model, year, engine, and market, the car will tell you when scheduled service is approaching. That reminder should never become permission to stop paying attention. Repeated short journeys, lots of idling, extreme temperatures, and demanding driving can be harder on an engine than relaxed motorway miles. Oil does far more than make metal slippery. It carries heat, controls contamination, and protects moving surfaces. On turbocharged engines, it also helps protect components working under serious heat and speed. As oil ages, heat and contamination gradually make its job harder. The dangerous part is how normal the car can feel while this is happening. There may be no horrible noise. There may be no warning light. The Mercedes can continue driving beautifully while poor maintenance quietly prepares tomorrow's repair bill. Using the wrong oil creates another problem. Mercedes engines require lubricants that meet the correct specifications. A bottle showing a familiar viscosity does not automatically mean it meets what your exact engine requires. Check the proper specification for your Mercedes. Oil level matters too. Too little oil is obviously dangerous, but a falling level also tells you something. Is the engine consuming oil? Is there a leak? Has the level simply not been checked for months? Do not wait until the engine has to scream for attention. If you enjoy seeing the ownership mistakes that can turn an expensive Mercedes repair into something preventable, subscribe now. Also, tell me in the comments how many miles are currently on your Mercedes. Keep an eye on the replies because some owners may surprise you with how far these cars can travel when they are maintained properly. Fresh oil protects the engine. It cannot protect the next component if you believe 3 innocent-sounding words that have confused owners for years. Lifetime transmission fluid. That takes us straight to number 8. Number 8. Treating transmission. Fluid like it lasts forever. The transmission shifts smoothly. There is no warning light. Nothing is leaking onto the driveway. Why touch it? That question sounds reasonable until the gearbox starts behaving differently. Automatic transmission fluid has serious work to do. It helps lubricate, cool, and operate a system that changes gears thousands of times while moving a heavy car. Heat cycles add up. Fluid condition matters. Mercedes maintenance requirements differ between transmissions, models, engines, years, and markets. Certain vehicles have specified transmission oil and filter services as part of their maintenance schedules. That is why copying a random interval from somebody online is a bad idea. Find the requirements for your exact Mercedes. The dangerous habit is assuming the transmission needs no attention simply because it still feels good. Smooth operation today does not guarantee healthy fluid forever. Changes in behavior deserve attention. Does reverse suddenly take longer to engage? Has a shift become rougher? Does the car hesitate when moving away? Does it behave differently once everything becomes hot? Those are not symptoms to hide with louder music. They are clues. This matters even more when buying used. A seller proudly saying, "Nobody has ever touched the transmission," may think they are describing reliability. They may actually be describing missing maintenance. Service history changes everything. You want to know what was done, when it was done, and whether the correct fluid and procedure were used. The goal is not to disturb a perfectly healthy transmission for no reason. The goal is to follow the correct maintenance requirements before wear turns routine servicing into major repair work. That difference can be enormous. A fluid service costs money. Internal gearbox repairs can cost the kind of money that makes an owner question whether the entire car is worth keeping. That is the trap running through this list. People postpone boring maintenance to save money today, then risk spending several times more fixing the component that maintenance was supposed to protect. A transmission may at least warn you with a change in behavior. The next system can be less forgiving. Its first clue might be nothing more than a level slowly dropping inside a plastic tank. Ignore where that fluid is going, and one hot afternoon can become far more expensive than any routine service. Number 7. Ignoring small coolant losses. The coolant is slightly low again. You top it up. A few weeks later, it drops again. You top it up again. Stop. Coolant should not disappear like fuel. If the level repeatedly falls, something deserves investigation. The cooling system has one enormous job: keep engine temperature under control. That becomes especially important when a modern turbocharged engine is working hard and creating serious heat. Pumps, thermostats, hoses, radiators, tanks, seals, fans, sensors, and coolant all help control that temperature. You do not need to memorize every component. You simply need to understand what repeated coolant loss is telling you. Something changed. Maybe you notice a sweet smell after parking. Maybe there is dried residue around a connection. Maybe the reservoir level keeps dropping. Maybe the temperature begins behaving differently. The worst response is repeatedly adding coolant without asking where the old coolant went. A minor leak can be irritating. An overheated engine can be financially devastating. Excessive heat can threaten gaskets, seals, cylinder heads, and other expensive components. Suddenly, the small leak you did not want to diagnose is connected to an engine repair you definitely do not want to pay for. The correct coolant matters as well. Do not choose coolant simply because the color looks similar to what is already inside the car. Use the correct product and specification for your exact Mercedes. Watch the level. Watch the temperature. Investigate unexplained loss. Never casually open a hot, pressurized cooling system either. Hot coolant can cause serious burns, so allow the vehicle to cool and follow the correct procedure. Cooling problems deserve urgency because the consequences can escalate quickly. A transmission may behave strangely for weeks before becoming dramatically worse. A serious overheating event can do frightening damage during one journey. Perfect coolant and fresh oil still cannot protect your Mercedes from what happens when the driver becomes the problem. This next habit usually appears when you are late, annoyed, or enjoying the power a little too much. Your engine may finally be warm, but that does not make constant punishment harmless. Number 6. Driving like every traffic light. Is a drag race Mercedes builds powerful cars. That is part of the attraction. Even many ordinary models have enough torque to make overtaking effortless, while AMG versions can turn an empty stretch of road into a serious temptation. Enjoying that performance is not the problem. Treating every journey like a qualifying lap is. Hard acceleration creates heat. Hard braking creates heat. Repeated aggressive driving increases wear on tires, brakes, mounts, suspension, transmission parts, and other drivetrain components. This does not mean you bought a Mercedes to drive everywhere at walking speed. Use the performance, enjoy the car. Just understand the difference between enjoying a properly warmed vehicle and launching away from every red light as though somebody is timing you. Brakes tell the story quickly. Repeatedly stopping a heavy luxury car from speed can consume pads and discs much faster than relaxed driving. Tires suffer too. Hard acceleration, aggressive cornering, poor alignment, and heavy braking can turn expensive rubber into another regular bill. Then there is the drivetrain. Every hard launch sends force through components that have to transfer the engine's power to the road. One enthusiastic pull is not the issue. Years of unnecessary abuse are different. This is why two identical Mercedes models showing the same mileage can have completely different mechanical lives. One may have spent most of its time cruising gently on motorways. The other may have reached the same mileage through cold starts, short journeys, potholes, hard launches, and repeated heavy braking. The odometer cannot tell you that story. Condition can. Service records can. Tire and brake wear can. The way the car drives can. Mileage tells you how far a Mercedes traveled. It does not tell you how kindly those miles happened. If you enjoy the performance regularly, maintenance becomes even more important. The harder you ask the machine to work, the less sense it makes to neglect what protects it. Aggressive driving often leaves visible clues in tires and brakes. The damage waiting in number 5 can begin with one violent thud, followed by the most dangerous reaction possible. It still drives fine. Number 5, smashing through potholes and ignoring suspension. Noises. You hear the thud. The car keeps driving straight. Nothing falls off. You forget about it. Your suspension may not. Many Mercedes models are heavy and fitted with large wheels and relatively low-profile tires. That combination can feel fantastic on smooth roads. Broken roads are less forgiving. A hard pothole impact can damage a tire, bend a wheel, disturb the alignment, or place extra stress on suspension components. Sometimes the damage is obvious. Sometimes it starts with a tiny vibration. The steering wheel no longer sits perfectly straight. A faint knock appears over bumps. One tire begins wearing strangely. Those clues matter. Ignore them and one problem can start creating another. Poor alignment can destroy expensive tires. Worn suspension components can affect handling. A damaged tire can become a safety problem. Loose or tired parts can make a Mercedes feel far older than it really is. Owners sometimes make this worse by assuming every noise is simply part of having large wheels or sporty suspension. Do not normalize a sound that was not there before. Ask what changed. Suspension wear can also creep up on you. When a car becomes slightly looser, month after month, you adapt to it. Then you drive a healthy example and suddenly realize how much precision your own car has lost. Pay attention after a hard impact. Inspect the tire. Notice new vibration. Watch whether the steering changes. Look for uneven tread wear. Have suspicious knocks checked. One worn part caught early can be manageable. Several worn parts, damaged tires, and poor alignment arriving together can create a much uglier repair bill. If your Mercedes has ever developed a suspension noise that took forever to diagnose, tell me in the comments what eventually caused it. Someone else may be hearing that exact knock today, and your experience could point them toward the problem before it becomes more expensive. Potholes punish parts you can physically inspect. The problem coming next is stranger. Your Mercedes can suddenly throw warnings from several different systems, making you fear a huge electronics failure when one ordinary component may be quietly causing the chaos. Number 4. Ignoring a weak battery. Until the car acts possessed. One morning, your Mercedes throws a warning, then another. A feature stops working. You restart the car, and half the problems disappear. Welcome to modern luxury car electronics. Before assuming several expensive control units suddenly failed together, check the electrical foundation supporting them. The battery. Modern Mercedes vehicles depend heavily on electronics. Screens, sensors, safety systems, powered accessories, comfort features, driver assistance, and engine controls all depend on stable electrical power. A weak battery can create strange behavior. Low voltage can trigger warnings and faults that look far more frightening than the underlying cause. That does not mean every electrical problem is secretly a battery problem. It isn't. The mistake is allowing a weak battery to become weaker while you ignore the clues. Pay attention to slow starting. Notice features behaving strangely. Take battery-related warnings seriously. If the car sits unused for long periods, remember that modern vehicles can still consume small amounts of power while parked. Repeatedly allowing the battery to become deeply discharged is not a healthy routine. Constant short journeys can make things harder too. Start the engine, drive only a few minutes, switch it off, and repeat that pattern while using lights, heating, seats, demisters, and other electrical features. The battery may not always get the recovery time you assume it does. A healthy battery is boring. That is exactly what you want. Testing an aging battery before it strands you is far less stressful than discovering its condition in a dark parking lot. Electrical diagnosis matters too. Replacing random parts because a warning message mentioned them can become an expensive guessing game. Scan the car, test the battery and charging system, find the cause before buying parts. That approach can save money and frustration. Yet some owners create electrical trouble themselves while trying to save money or improve the car. The next mistake starts with a tempting thought. This cheaper part looks exactly the same. That mistake can become very expensive on a modern Mercedes. Number 3. Using cheap parts and questionable modifications. The bargain part looks identical. The listing says it fits. The price is half what the proper component costs. Tempting. Mercedes ownership becomes dangerous when fits gets confused with correct. Modern cars are connected systems. A sensor can affect information used elsewhere in the vehicle. Some repairs need the correct setup or programming afterwards. Electrical modifications can interfere with systems far beyond the feature you intended to change. Cheap filters can fit badly. Wrong fluids may not meet the required specification. Poor sensors can send incorrect information. Incorrect tires can affect how the car drives. Bad electrical accessories can introduce faults that are miserable to trace. This does not mean every part outside a Mercedes dealership is bad. Far from it. Respected original equipment suppliers and good independent Mercedes specialists can provide excellent parts and service. The key words are quality and compatibility. Buy the right part, not simply the cheapest box. Use the required specification, not whatever happens to be on the shelf. Choose someone who understands the system they are working on. The same warning applies to modifications. More power sounds exciting. A tune can completely change the way a turbocharged Mercedes feels. Yet extra power can also mean extra heat and stress. If you modify the car, understand what you are changing and what supporting maintenance may become more important. Cheap power is not always cheap. Sometimes the bill simply arrives later. This becomes especially important when buying used. A modified Mercedes with no paperwork should create questions. Who performed the work? What exactly was changed? Was supporting work done? Has anything been returned to standard before the sale? How was the car driven after the modification? A clean engine bay cannot answer those questions. Records can. A knowledgeable specialist can. Proper diagnostics can. We are down to 2 habits now. The next one catches responsible owners because they are servicing the car and genuinely believe that means everything important is covered. Then high mileage arrives, several forgotten maintenance items come due together, and the well-maintained Mercedes suddenly becomes painfully expensive. Number 2. Treating service. A and service B like the entire maintenance plan. The reminder appears. You book the service, the required basic work is completed. The reminder gets reset. Perfect, right? Not necessarily. Mercedes uses scheduled maintenance programs including Service A and Service B on many vehicles, but long-term ownership means understanding what else your exact model needs as age and mileage increase. Different engines, gearboxes, drivetrains, model years, and markets can require different additional work. That is why your exact maintenance schedule matters. Coolant needs attention. Brake fluid has service requirements. Filters need replacing. Petrol engines have spark plugs that eventually become due. Certain transmissions require fluid and filter work. Some drivetrains have other fluids that cannot simply be forgotten forever. Wear items still need inspecting. This is how owners can accidentally create neglected cars while believing they have complete service histories. They attend the basic scheduled visits but never look ahead at the additional work becoming due with age or mileage. Eventually, several forgotten jobs arrive together. Then the owner says, Mercedes becomes unreliable after 100,000 miles. Sometimes the car did not suddenly become unreliable. The maintenance debt simply arrived. Imagine ignoring transmission maintenance because it still shifts smoothly. Ignoring coolant because the temperature looks normal. Ignoring brake fluid because the brakes still work. Ignoring spark plugs because the engine still starts. Ignoring a small leak because the driveway is mostly clean. Each decision feels harmless by itself. Stack them together, and high mileage ownership can become very expensive. The smartest owners think ahead. They keep records. They know what is coming due. They inspect the car between services. They react when something changes. Preventative maintenance is not throwing money at a healthy Mercedes. Done correctly, it is one reason the Mercedes stays healthy. Before we reach number 1, make your final call in the comments. Which habit on this list do you think destroys Mercedes longevity fastest? Pick one and tell me why. When number 1 arrives, compare it with your answer, because the final habit is different from everything else we have covered. You do not need to drive aggressively or deliberately skip maintenance to make it. In fact, you can make this mistake while genuinely believing you are taking excellent care of your Mercedes. That is what makes number 1 so dangerous. Number 1, ignoring small changes, because there is no warning light. No warning light? Then everything must be fine. That assumption can turn small Mercedes problems into large Mercedes bills. Modern Mercedes vehicles monitor an incredible amount of information. They can warn you about tire pressure, service requirements, engine faults, brake wear, safety systems, fluid levels on certain models, and many other problems. Yet the dashboard cannot replace an attentive owner. Your car often speaks before a warning appears. A new vibration is information. A different engine sound is information. A faint coolant smell is information. A slower start is information. A small oil spot is information. Uneven tire wear is information. A transmission that suddenly feels different is information. A suspension knock is information. The owner who notices those changes early has an enormous advantage. The owner who says, "There is no warning light, so it must be fine," can give a small problem months to become expensive. Coolant does not need to pour onto the road before a falling level matters. A battery does not need to leave you stranded before it deserves testing. A gearbox does not need to stop moving before different shift behavior deserves attention. A suspension part does not need to break before uneven tire wear means something. An oil leak does not need to empty the engine before it deserves repair. That is what high-mileage Mercedes ownership comes down to. Attention, not panic, not replacing random parts. Attention. Know what normal feels like. When you drive the same car regularly, you learn how quickly it starts, how smoothly it shifts, where the temperature normally sits, how the steering feels, and which sounds belong there. That makes you the first person likely to notice change. Investigating a change does not mean assuming catastrophe. It means refusing to ignore information. Service records make that easier. If you know when the battery was fitted, when coolant was changed, when the transmission was serviced, and when major wear items were replaced, you stop guessing about the car's history. Now compare two owners. The first notices a small leak and waits. A new noise appears. They wait again. The car begins behaving differently. Still, they wait for a warning light. Eventually, the minor problem becomes a major repair, and suddenly the Mercedes gets blamed for being unreliable. The second owner notices the same change. They inspect it, they diagnose it. If something needs fixing, they deal with it before that problem damages something more expensive. Same Mercedes, same mileage, very different future. That is why mileage alone never tells the whole story. A car with fewer miles can be badly neglected. A higher mileage Mercedes with excellent records and an attentive owner can sometimes be the healthier machine. The badge cannot defeat neglect. The three-pointed star cannot make old oil fresh. It cannot replace missing coolant. It cannot straighten a damaged wheel. It cannot make a dying battery healthy. It cannot undo thousands of miles of ignored symptoms. Your habits matter. Warm the engine gently. Use the correct oil and service it properly. Follow the correct transmission maintenance. Investigate coolant loss. Enjoy the performance without abusing the car constantly. Respect potholes and new suspension noises. Keep the electrical system healthy. Use quality, compatible parts. Know the complete maintenance requirements for your exact Mercedes. Most importantly, pay attention when the car begins feeling different. None of these habits guarantees that a Mercedes will never break. Machines wear, parts fail, age matters. Yet good ownership can dramatically change whether those failures are caught early, whether maintenance stays manageable, and whether high mileage feels normal or frightening. That is the difference. A well-cared-for Mercedes can make serious mileage look surprisingly easy. A neglected one can make low mileage painfully expensive. The repair bill you receive tomorrow may have started with a habit you repeated quietly for years. Change the habit before the car makes you pay for it. Thanks for watching. If you found these Mercedes ownership tips helpful, let us know in the comments. Want to see the Mercedes mistakes and hidden problems every owner should know before their next repair? Click the video on the left. If you don't want to miss more Mercedes tips, car guides, and money-saving warnings, hit that subscribe button.